What's the worst country to vacation to right now? Write in the comments what you think about it. What's the worst country to vacation to right now? Enjoy the show. Story 1. As a vacation destination, I feel like France is the #1 biggest disappointment for tourists in modern day. Lots of tourist traps and underwhelming history. Most locals are bores and ride to tourists, not just Americans. Paris is also a very dirty city. I feel like Turkey is a distant second just because of the stories you hear about pushy salesmen and restaurant hosts, but I feel like you get that in any touristy bad area. Story 2. Not sure about the worst, but I keep on seeing how Japan tightens up some of the tourist spots due to bad tourist behavior. The most famous one is the Watson near Mount Fuji, where they said they're going to put on some fences and probably Kyoto regarding the geisha since lots of American tourists were stopping them from going to their destination. I don't think it's a good idea to go there right now due to this. There's probably some more rules out there. Story 3. Since 2008, Maldives has been governed by Sharia, so it is dangerous for any non-Muslim. You are forbidden to practice any other religion, and if you apostate from Islam, you will get the death penalty. The country itself is beautiful, but is sadly run by people and laws with terroristic ideals. Story 4. East LA around 45th Street in Lansdowne. My last Airbnb over there, I had my car robbed. It was a renter. What a nightmare to get that replaced. I was also stabbed in the apartment by somebody delivering drugs that I never ordered. We argued, and I got the short end of the stick, or the knife, as you would say. Story 5. Some parts of Honduras are really not safe. I ended up in San Pedro Sulas a few years ago, and we spent a lovely night locked in the posada room hearing gunshots outside. Yeah, not. And this is coming from someone who finds Brazil completely fine. I've traveled everywhere, alone as a woman, with my young kid, etc. And it's not as bad as foreigners and many Brazilians think. Story 6. Breaking from the mold of dangerous as hell, super sketchy, unsanitary. Japan, if you are anything but a fit, well-off, fluent in Japanese person, and even the last might not always work. Had a group of friends that pooled their money to go for a week, and they are all of Irish, German, Sicilian, etc. descent. Thankfully, they are all or were fluent in Japanese, or at least far beyond the normal tourist anime enthusiast level. They still got the stupid foreigner looks and mumbles, as well as the "oh, you poor, uneducated foreigner" looks before they would engage in conversation, and even after. They loved the cultural areas and the efficiency of transport, etc. My, huskiest friend on the trip hated the in-city subway, and all of them mentioned the separate cars for women being both depressing and necessary when they were in the big cities. IERC their last day before a red-eye home, they went to Akihabara and found among other things Wheeze in a dump bin at a store going for the equivalent of $5 USD each. On the definitely visit before death end of the spectrum, the Republic of Ireland, and you have to fly Aer Lingus when going from the US. Especially in Galway, you could walk everywhere you needed to go, despite the large size. The scenery outside and inside towns was beautiful. Rolling grass hills, Norman towers here and there, ruins, etc. The people in Galway were very nice to the troop of college students I was part of, and even had a couple of, "Oh, you're from an US Irish family by that name. Do you know XYZ?" as well as an invite for a friend, and 3 others to go to an extended relatives for dinner. I was feeling ill from a major sunburn. Yes, I'm Irish and Norse. I burn when the sun looks at the planet, and missed that opportunity and regret not forcing myself to go. Apparently it was a big family affair, with neighbors dropping in too. Story 7. Italy in the summer. I've been to Rome twice, once in winter and once in summer. In the summer it's miserably hot, filled with tourists, and there's pickpockets everywhere. In the winter it was nice. I could waltz into every major attraction with no line. Weather was a decent 50-ish degrees during the day. Story 8. Saudi or Iran. Have friends from both countries and have heard Saudi has modern areas and is good for expats, but I honestly don't want my money remotely supporting their terrorist agenda and oppressive to women attitude more than it's possible. I would have loved to visit Afghanistan, but I guess not in my lifetime. It has such scenic places and mountains, and good food. Fuck Taliban. Story 9. I don't know about the worst, but I do know a fair amount of people who are skipping vacationing in the south of Europe, Greece, Italy, Spain, in July, August now, due to the high temperatures, risk of fires or floods. They might still go, but earlier in spring. Story 10. Parts of Mexico, like Tamaulipas, Guerrero, and Michoacan, are pretty dangerous. People going by road through Nuevo Laredo have been stopped at gunpoint and had their belongings taken, including car, money, jewelry, and other stuff. Then in Guerrero, families have been kidnapped and killed. Story 11, Ecuador. I was there for 2 weeks in 2016, mainly Guayaquil and Salinas coastal area. It was a truly amazing experience. I went with my Ecuadorian ex and his dad. Beautiful beaches, delicious food, wonderful people, and a vibrant culture. Now it is controlled by the cartels and not safe for tourists, let alone regular citizens. I'm glad I went when I did, and I pray that things will improve soon. Story 12. Anywhere in Western Europe. It's too expensive, and spending money to visit there just isn't worth it. There are plenty of better things to do here at home in the US, where inflation has been bad enough. Low-quality services, mediocre food, and inflated high prices just isn't worth our hard-earned money. Story 13. Ooh, okay, maybe not the worst, but the worst from my experience. We honeymooned in the DR, and while we had a great time at the resort, every time we stepped off, it was a bad experience. Being in a car was terrifying because, as our driver said, only about 30% of residents have their license. It was horrendous. And then someone tried to pull us over in an activity bus, but they weren't a cop and our driver just kept going. Apparently that's fairly common where we were at too. On a funnier note, there was a shop on the resort that illegally sold weed. We wanted a J, so my husband paid out the ass. We were then offered many other drugs that we turned down, and security was maybe 15 feet from the stall. Story 14. The Gaza Strip. Accommodations aren't good. In fact, I'd have to say poor at the moment. And you might have to move to a new place on an hour's notice. No worries about getting great meals. There aren't any. Meals. There's no food there to eat. Travel will be very interesting. You'll see sights you've never seen before. Bombed out hospitals, bombed cities, bombed residential areas. Everything's bombed out. And travel will be on foot, as there's no gas to power vehicles. And if this matters to you, there's a fair chance you'll be bombed and killed. Story 15, Bouvet Island. It's an absolute pain in the ass to get to. Probably easiest if you sail from South Africa. It's a 1,600-mile journey, and you'd probably need to charter a boat with a helicopter as well. Once you get there, the only thing is a weather station. You'll need the helicopter to land there. Once you get to the weather station, the door will probably be locked. If there are people stationed there, they might let you in, but if not, you'll have to break in, and that would really piss off the Norwegian government. There is also no McDonald's. Story 16. United States. Crime and drug use are rampant. Victims are prosecuted, criminals are rewarded, illegal immigrants are protesting for more money, housing, food. Public transportation is a nightmare. Government is anti-business, anti-citizen. Illegals get more benefits than our elderly. Politicians are only interested in votes and not doing the right thing. Thus, many criminals walk free. Story 17. For anyone that doesn't need to be told, war zones aren't good for relaxing USA, Canada, or Europe. Basically NATO countries. They still have all the good things they used to, but there are economic and social anomalies that make things more tense, expensive, and generally unpleasant. As a Canadian, I would recommend waiting until things become less expensive, specifically hotels, food, going out, and all the things relevant to us travelers. Story 18. At the moment, New Caledonia. The laws are changing regarding who is allowed to vote in elections in NC, expanding to include all French citizens who live in the islands. The indigenous population is very upset by this, as it dilutes the amount of say the indigenous voice has in NC. Sadly, this has broken into what has been locally described as civil war. The country is then further hurting because the civil unrest has turned all the tourist and cruise ships away, which is financially hurting local businesses even further. Hopefully, post-election North Carolina will settle down again, and the tourism money can start flowing back in and bolstering the community again. Once things settle, absolutely do go. Just not right now. Story 19. This is going to be a controversial opinion, but I have been planning a trip to the US for some time, and I decided to put it off indefinitely. We're going to go to Canada instead. The violent crime rate is just way too high in the US for my comfort. When I factor in the gun laws, it becomes a no-brainer. There's plenty of places on Earth where I won't fear for my life. I've been to the US once before, BTW. Haven't felt this unsafe before. Of course, there are many counties that are more dangerous to go to right now, but I haven't even considered them. And let's be honest, most people won't even think about it. And a fun fact, I have a few friends who also would love to see the US, the beautiful national parks in particular, but they're too scared to go. Story 20. Haiti. Sadly, I never really went there on vacation. Wait, except for a stop on a cruise, I'm not sure that really counts since it was the island of Labadee and not the real Haiti. I say not the real Haiti because it was wholly owned by the cruise line. and I don't think of any permanent residence. I went on 3 missionary trips to Haiti, and after I did that, I learned to speak some Haitian Creole, looking forward to going back by 4th time. My first time was a year after the earthquake, but now that all heck has broken loose, it looks like I may never be able to go back. It breaks my heart. The culture is one of hard work, family, and faith, at least part of the nation I saw. I went with Food for the Poor, the best not-for-profit you never heard of. We fed people, built houses, planted gardens, all kinds of things. I was actually thinking of retiring there and teaching school because I have the qualifications and they have a shortage of school teachers. Sadly, it looks like I may never be able to return. Story 21. Norway. The tourist season is starting and they are blocking up the narrow fjord roads in their RVs, stopping every 5 minutes to take pics of random waterfalls, stopping the 100s of buses hauling passengers from cruise ships up the mountains from the fjords, making the average local Norwegian named Niels trying to go somewhere stuck behind all of them. He actually gets so angry that he finally shows an emotion and lets out an angry sigh that no one hears. In his mind, he curses the Swedes and the Danes for some reason for his ill fortunes. He was just trying to drive to the pharmacy 1 mountain pass over to the next town to get his wife Hilda some acid reflux medicine because they tried adding spice to their kjøttcake dinner the previous evening. Then you come along as a tourist, in a car behind Niels, and all the clusterfuck before him. You can't see the hordes of buses and German tourists in their RVs before him around the next bend, let alone the intense, almost psychotic debate in his mind about who he hates more, the Danes or the Swedes, and the endless questions of why his wife wanted to spice up the kjøttcake dinner. You just see Niels's car stopped in front of you, and you make the mistake of honking your horn. Story 23. Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar are my non-at-war countries. Sorry if any are I'm not clued in at this stuff. Generally horrible people. Complexes everywhere, all just designed either literally by design or by locals to scam, cheat, steal, and trick you into giving them your every penny. I'd never visit any of them even if offered full 5-star celebrity experiences. Honorable mention for Egypt, just scammers and hustlers everywhere. Story 24. Everyone I know who has been to Italy for summer vacation recently has regretted. Crowded, touristy, expensive, hot as hell. Added dimension if you're a POC. Italians are wildly racist. I went over there to visit a friend and had a lot of fun, but it was during the spring and I didn't do any of the actual touristy stuff. Right now, go elsewhere in Europe, especially during the summer. Italy is simply too crowded. If you want the beach dimension, try Croatia. If you want the culture, there's tons of other really cool countries in Europe, in both senses of the word. Story 25. I wouldn't particularly recommend the Sudan. Haiti is great if anarchy and gang violence is your thing, and Venezuela may pose some problems for those looking for peaceful relaxation. I want to add Guinea-Bissau, but when its president was asked if he was an international drug dealer, he laughed and said, "They can't prove a thing," which goes a long way towards restoring my confidence. And I have heard it's been years since travelers to Sierra Leone were in danger of being seized by rebels and having their hand chopped off. I am looking closely at Mauritania and see that it's conveniently located 3,000 fucking miles from anywhere. I nominate there. Story 26. Outside active war zones, Ukraine, Israel, and the specific host of don't remotely go near if you are female. That could debatably count as a country's still. Haughty, no government, virtually no support services, roaming gangs in a perpetually war to see their leader at the top. Famine, potential of like 2-3 very deadly virus outbreaks. Yay no to Haiti. To Yemen? Forget it's above and western-ish of Somali. Well, really that whole area of Africa. Not that Africans killing Africans even get noticed by media. Basically, utterly genocidal wars, likely war by one to get access to the Gulf. Rapidly growing food famines, Egyptian government trying to cause wars to take areas they want. The terrorists' activities in the Gulf, and Strait of whatever, to the Suez Canal. 3 India for its messes of political problems, though they did just have election, but mainly they are melting right now. Wouldn't go to much of South America. Gangs and various governments' anti-gang cartel efforts spiking up. Story 27. There are so many terrible options, and I'd say Afghanistan. TBHIDK, why people say Russia, there's no way you can compare it to Sudan, Haiti, Somalia, or even that North Korea seems like BS to me. They would punish you really bad for violating their rules, but that's nothing like the places where you're automatically robbed and possibly killed for your phone, etc. Story 28. Out of the countries I've visited, I did not enjoy India, especially during Christmas time, as all the local people are on vacation there too and have never seen a blue-eyed blonde woman before. Kenya, walked out of the airport never seeing so many guns, felt really sketchy, was in Kenya by accident due to delayed flight. Japan in the summertime, just absolutely miserable and hot during that time of the year. Ukraine isn't that bad, as long as you are smart and avoid danger areas. I would avoid Russia, as they can arrest you for no reason just because they follow no rules. Other countries mentioned, I wouldn't exactly pick them for a vacation to begin with. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Be sure to write comments and share your stories.